وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Assalamualaikum.
وعليكم السلام. بسم الله.
Assalamualaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
In regards to hair, someone asked a question about that earlier. In reference to, is there a difference between dreads and locks? And
Yes, this is how dreadlocks started off. This is how dreadlocks started off. It's a movement which you believe in, vegetarianism. Of course, you smoke marijuana, so on and so forth. It's a whole lifestyle. Rastafari isn't just having dreadlocks, but it's like the Muslim beard. It's a reason why you have the beard. And the hair is symbolic. It's nothing more than a piece of a larger puzzle. But one could say that just because it started off like that, for sure we can all agree, I don't want dreadlocks myself, but everyone in this room can agree that it's become just a normal hairstyle. It's become a hairstyle. It no longer is exclusive to that religion and to that movement, let alone there are types of dreads. So coming from New York City, and Brooklyn, you say, what is it? The dread is a dreadlock. It's dread versus a football player, somebody just got, it's not the same. So to give an accurate answer, just because something starts off in a way doesn't mean it ends in that way. And this is one of the principles of the Sharia. Something was originally haram, then it evolved, it is no longer haram. So therefore, if a Muslim wears locks, or we call them dreadlocks, and they aren't the dreadlocks which are exclusive to the non-Muslims, to the mushriks, then there's room to say that they're lawful. There's room to say that they're what? That they're lawful. And if someone says it's haram to wear dreadlocks, that's fine, but he has to be able to prove that with consistent reasoning. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
Well, how would we assess the situation that dreadlock down to the behind, especially if they're Muslims and it goes all the way down? How would they take and properly wash, make ghusl, they in the state?
Clear. Well, with regards to the length of the locks, because this is very important, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sheikh, because somebody's going to say, for argument's sake, stay with me now, Abdul Qadir, sister, you stay with me, it's very important now. A person may say, all right, I get what you're saying, Sheikh, that's fair. Even if I disagree, but at least it's fair. People used to wear it like this, but now it's just becoming a color. Green is associated with how much shirk and polytheism. How much superstition is associated with the green. You study the history of botany, plants that you have in your house, roses and tulips, all of those things are associated with gods and goddesses and luck and fortune. To this very day, in a plant shop, the most popular house plants are based off of shirk. They had this tree in the house because it brought good luck or played bad fortune. That's no longer, this person as an atheist, they have no religion, and that's still the most popular house plant. Things have clearly evolved. So a person may say, I get it, even if they disagree, but I understand, but not the really long dreads. That's too long. That's too much to stomach. I get that. But what is the rule of a woman having long hair? It's not locked. How many Muslim women in India grow their hair for their gods and goddesses? And their hair is all the way down to their ankles. How many Sikh women don't shave their hair, don't cut no hair on their body? And that's a practice of what? A shirk and kufr. Why they're doing it doesn't mean. So if you're saying that the small short locks are okay, but not the what? Not the squid tentacles, too long, too much. Okay, what's the Islamic reason or rationale? Twist, braid, and plait her hair. And that there are many ahadith in which the women went to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inni imra'atun ashuddu dhafra ra'si. I fasten my hair, I plait, I twist, I braid my hair. Shall I untie it Some narrations state للحيض والجنابة وللجنابة للغسل. There's discrepancy among the people of hadith, the alfaz or riwayat, with regards to which did Salama actually ask about, menstruation and janaba or just janaba. Al-Muhim, she said that I do what? I braid my hair and I have to make a ghusl. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said no. So the sheer fact that the hair is twisted and braided up doesn't mean that a person cannot make ghusl. For argument's sake, your hairstyle specifically is too much, too tight, too intricate, in which no water can reach the head, then that's a different story. But that's not the sin of the hairstyle. That's the specific. Mine is so long, which I don't even get it under the water. I use grapefruit juice. Read and study the culture. Beeswax. I don't put no water in my dreads, period. Now, that's one thing, a fashion dread versus, I said a real deal, what? A dread on the sunnah. Sunnah like hardcore dread. Do they even use water on their heads? So that's the longer discussion. So therefore, at end brief, if the sister has locks, plaits, braid, a condition that you have to have a bald scalp. So listen to the shot. It's not a condition. Especially when you make wudu, you just wipe it on top of it. If I have thick hair, it's also similar to what? Whether you have afro, whether you have high top fade, the list goes on and on and on. Wallahu ta'ala.
So how do you do how does a brother have in this situation if he has locks? I had locks.
With regards to making wudu, the man's hair, it is recommended once you start with the hairline to the nape of the neck, back to the hairline. But is that mandatory? Or is what is mandatory wiping the head and wiping parts of the head? Some scholars say a fourth, a third, a slither, as long as the water is placed upon the head. And as far as women who have longer hair, they start with the hairline and they go to the nape of the neck and they do not go back to the front. And for argument's sake, if a man's hair was going that way, we would say start with the hairline and do what? Wallahu a'lam.
Because if the Prophet is not made to ghusl with a cup of water, then that cup water would not be enough.
Hence, we said the fiqh, whether you say halal or haram, it has to be solid. Scholastically, what? Solid. And that's a very important point. Once again, you blessing us, speak, mashallah, jazakallah khair, you dropping gems on us tonight. We benefited, okay? The amount of water that the Prophet used. So many people today, they want to say you can't wear the braids because you're taking a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute shower. Gallons of water, and you're still saying that the water hasn't. So that's clearly proven that the water itself, soaking, drenched scalp, every single follicle is engulfed in water is not was meant by Wallahu ta'ala alam.
But this, but the
From sisters who I think they left the class. Have fun. All right, Sheikh, your question now.
Could I get a follow-up question to this? Just
Further.
that's related to that.
Further.
Because I happen to work with a school that has a policy. And the policy is not because it's haram necessarily, but there is guidelines of hair. Certain length, certain general rule of keeping it even and so forth. And that's not said because necessarily we say anything outside of that is haram. It's more of a uniform discipline issue. Is this within reason? Is this reasonable Islamically concerned? Because some people have objection. They think that it's a bias, or they think that there's no basis for this, or it shouldn't be done.
So, with regards to rules, dress code, the hair has to be this length, you have to wear this color, so on and so forth. The general rule is that Muslims are allowed to make rules and stipulations, as long as those rules and stipulations do not clash and butt heads with the teachings of Islam. My dress code, you have to wear navy blue. Dress code, shoes, boom, 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 boom. Oh, what's the hadith that I thought? Yahi, You want to come to class, you gotta wear?
Navy blue.
That's the rule. If you like it, you're welcome, and if not, then you can go in any other class. And I said it's glad to wear navy blue, it's haram to wear king blue, but that's the dress code that I'm requiring. So the general rule is that the Muslim is allowed, وَالْمُسْلِمُونَ عَلَى شُرُوطِهِمْ. You're allowed to make rules, the rules of your organization, as long as they're not in direct collision with Kitab and Sunnah. So therefore, we require that the young men who come to our school, they have to wear ethnicity, their race, silky hair, wavy hair, curly. If that's the rule, then that's the rule. But there are problems, and one of those problems is there, as you mentioned, a bias? And that's why I brought that point up. So the dreadlocks are bad, kuffar, mushrikun, no problem. Sorcery, they're going to say many things. But you go to a restaurant, this traditional cultural headdress, this and that, they won't say what? Nothing about it. They'll turn a blind eye. And the importance of it is based off of looking and not realize how much we've been trained as a fact, unfortunately. We've been trained in programs. Don't take it from me. Just look at the culture. Different restaurants, they'll play this, they'll have this, that's cool. But that music is not our cultural music. People are very lax when it comes to unlawful or doubtful things with their own race and culture. But other races, and specifically this one specific race, red X. So just make sure that your dress code is blind. Wherever you come from, this is what you have to wear. It doesn't matter, your reference. Blind justice, that's number one. Number two, my humble opinion on Allah, there are benefits in the dress code. Of course, there has to be some uniformity to an organization. We get it. Things have to be murattab. However, there are harms that come in making everybody dress the same way. And from those harms is stripping the people of their individual personality. And this is, I'm not saying it's haram to have a dress code, don't misquote me. But if you study the history, let's take the armed forces, for example, the Marines. What's the first thing you do when you go in the Marines? Shave the hair. Then what else? What do they do after they shave your head? Then what? Basic training, right?
Oh, no.
What does the drill sergeant do? Yell at you, belittle you, humiliate you, and then after they break you, then they do what? How they want you to be. You've lost your individuality, your personality. You are now nothing more than a pawn. Nothing more. You have a serial number. And we are. Your blood is no different than anyone. That's what? That's dangerous. Jar head. Now, where does that come from? Anybody know where this practice of the Marines comes from? Something deeper, more sinister than that. No way. No way. Older than that. No, yeah, I mean partially, but this comes from specifically law. The Knights of Jesus, the Jesuits. Read their history and how sinister and nefarious they are and what they did, and the psychological games that they played with nations around the world. So the concept of you have no individual worth or value, period. Of course, the team, there's no I in team. There is a me though. And sometimes what makes a team great is that there is some type of individuality. So don't get me twisted. I'm not saying that you can't have uniforms, that you can't have order. I'm not saying that. But just be mindful. What do you want? What's most important? They come on time, they respect the teacher, so on and so forth. So, it's not haram to have a dress code, but just make sure that there are no other biases involved, subtle, and make sure that you're not being a worshiper of order and uniformity. And sometimes a person being so organized, the uniforms is a con, and it'll hurt you in the end. Sometimes it has to be a little bit of, right? That's the moral of the story.
Is there any a thought about wiping over sleeves? You military, you have time, you're in battle, you can't take your both sleeves up and be making wudu. And we know wudu is known out of
Either wudu or tayammum. There is no wiping over the clothes.
There's no wipe.
Evident.
But like in is wiping over shoes.
That's different. That's text that.
That's a text
Proving that. No doubt about that.
If
La shak in the Quran, a mode of recitation.
in
Wa'arjulikum or wa'arjulakum
tayammum,
is a replacement for when water cannot be used. It's too cold, it's too expensive, you have wounds, whatever prevents you from using the water. You cannot wipe over clothes, evident. Shoes and head, total different discussion. There's the legal text stating that. If a believer is in a state of fear, it's a battle, I have to protect, and all I got time is, so be it, but not wiping over the sleeves. Wallahu a'lam. So any other follow-ups? Well, yeah, and of course, these things, all jokes aside, this stuff really needs to be discussed. Because these are things, they exist in our communities, in the melting pot that we have. And we're all, including myself, we've been, whether you realize it or not, racism and prejudice and bias comes down to the most simple thing. Food and drink, how much sugar goes, you'd be shocked. Oh, people like that, I know you like your tea like this. Other people don't like sweet things. Other races don't, you be shocked. Stereotypes, they're everywhere. It's unhealthy. It's full of cholesterol. It gives you cancer, diabetes. It's full of sugar, so on and so forth. Well, first and foremost is what this person is selling or making, that's not the original stuff. My grandmother's vegetables, her dishes were actually from the garden. The meat was such and such. She washed it with vinegar, with lemon, with this, with that. So that's first and foremost. Now versus that commercial stuff. Second of all, I'm not saying that the earth is round. Don't quote me on this. But I'm just saying in a globe, let's spin the globe, let's play Russian roulette. Cover up our eyes, let's spin it, or map or atlas, let's see where we land. And then we found out this cultural food, and this feast, how much cholesterol, how much fat, how much salt, how much meat do they eat, how much do they drink. But you're not going to say what? Nothing about that. Nothing. But soul food, it's unhealthy as this, brother, black person, with self-hate. I don't eat this soul food, man. That stuff give me diabetes, Okay, but this restaurant, the rice, that's gonna cause you. That's no cholesterol on that, right? All that bread, all of those carbs, none of that is gonna cause you sickness. Programming is real, sick, and self-hate is real. It's reality. All of us, we're all victims of it, on one level or another. Just take that food, that one food. How many people you heard say that shit? So food's bad for you, don't do this. It's nothing but just fried chicken and mac and cheese. That's it. It's ignorant. Stereotypes can be made about any race of people around the world. And there's a commercial version of this. Sicilians don't make it like that. Italians don't eat pasta like that. People in this country, they don't eat rice with this, they eat it with bread. The Japanese, they don't eat sushi with chopsticks. It's consumed with the hand, one bite. That's not the Japanese way. That's bit. You can stereotype anyone, any culture, any race, any cuisine, but most of us, we only want to destroy and hate ourselves. And from that is the and maybe even some religious reasons why I wouldn't wear them. But to say that they're haram because of this vague thing, that's different. What? Different story. Wallahu a'lam. Further.
Question, right? So let's say, right, back to the school situation, right? Let's say it's an Islamic school, right, and their rules are based off, or they're claiming that it's based off like Islamic law, right? So let's say, right, that these rulings that the school has is making us feel like it's like constricting them, and like their freedoms are being taken away and stuff like that, right? And it causes the students to grow kind of dislike to the school, and it's pushing them away from the school, which is supposed to be a good thing, right? How as a school do you go about that? If your students, right, are put there because it's supposed to help, but they're going to dislike, how do you go about that at school?
Well, that's something that many of us suffer from. So he said this to some of the companions. From among you are those who push people away. There are people who push people away. So some of us, we push people away without even knowing it, by accident. And it's even more dangerous when we talk about the youth, the young generation. So I may be so harsh, or so bumpy and grumpy and you got on a North Face jacket, you got on Nike socks, you got an Air Force, you got the Pro Fit, yeah, you got on then you're not sitting there right. You shouldn't have on a North Face jacket, for argument's sake. You shouldn't, but do you feel welcome in the masjid, in the class, or is everything you do wrong and evil and haram? It's not but a matter of time before you're like, man, I ain't going there. I can't do nothing right. So there has to be a hikmah and wisdom. There are rules, certain things, look, it's not cool, but at the same time, who's perfect? We all have issues. So hikmah. And the Quran clearly says that those who are given hikmah have been given a great amount of good and patience. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about the virtue of patience. No one can be given a gift greater and more generally good than sabr. And from that is being patient with kids. You guys do some stuff wrong. It's a fact. We have issues, just like we have issues, and the people before us had issues. But at the same time, the youth are needed for tomorrow. And if we're pushing them away and making them feel unwelcome and trying to impose on them how we see it, what's going to happen in 10, 20 years? So give the people advice. They need to be given advice. And at the same time, advice for the youth. Sometimes you might need to just listen. Maybe what they're telling you, even if you don't agree, or it may be a benefit for you. And from that is discipline. So we talked about the jarheads, the Marines, the Army, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we get it. But all of the people that I've met that were in the Marines and the military are very organized people. They tell you 8 a.m., they're going to be there at 7:59. House is clean, car, everything is what? Laid out, organized. So that's a benefit in your life that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. So why do I gotta wear navy blue? That's stupid. That's an ugly color. Why do I gotta have a low haircut? I like a fro. All right, I get it. But right now, to graduate from this school, to get your degree to move forward, you have to follow the rules. The rules may be stupid, the rules may be this, but it's when you're going to need to do what? And ignore pain. Suppress your desires. So that's something that sometimes the teacher is going to give you. You may not realize it's a blessing. So it can be looked at from what? Both ways. Let's keep it real. Some of us, some elders, some people, we do be tripping. Unfortunately, it's real. Ego trip, whatever. I'm in control. I'll boss you around. Just for the fun of it. But don't ever forget, very important piece of advice. How old are you? 16. Mashallah. The boss isn't always right. But the boss is always the boss. That statement will take you far in life. Far in life. Sometimes you just don't argue because this person is what? The boss. But it don't mean you're right. However, right now, you're my supervisor. It's unwise for me to what? To fight with you. Now you break off, you got your own thing, you do whatever you want to do. Allah, may Allah bless you. Salam, mashallah, ala salam. Twice. Khalas, inshallah.
Forgot the big question. We took
The big question from the big sheikh. Illa, Sheikh, is my big sheikh.
I asked, what is the means to
Clear,
start
understand.
Olad Zina?
I got it, Sheikh.
Muslim
It's clear.
You
It's
got
clear.
it?
Yeah, it's clear. At the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is for the youth, young guys, young sisters. Allah gave you desires for a reason. Just like you have taste buds, you can hear, you can feel, you can think. Allah gave you the ability to have sexual desires for a reason. It's a wisdom and it's a benefit and a blessing in you having that. So it isn't something to be totally ignored. And it isn't a thing which is going to be totally bad and totally looked down upon. But just know for sure, when it comes to your desires, if you allow them to take control over you, know for sure they will ruin the deen and the dunya. Don't forget this advice, guys. If you allow your desires to make the decisions for you, you're going to regret it. Trust me. Regret it. So once you just thinking what you're done. You're finished. And that's the easiest way to lure you into a trick or a trap. Do you know, we talk about, just an example of this, the seriousness of one's sexual desires. When we talk about spies, espionage, or if that's too much of a big word, being a rat, a snitch, whatever word you want to use, whatever your cultural reference. Do you know one of the top way of them recruiting spies, informants, and defectors? No. It's one's sexual behavior. They blackmail you. When they find out that you're a little loose here, or you like every now and then, whatever, once they get that information, they what? And you're their slave forever. If we're rival gangs, I'm trying to set you up, whatever the case, what's the easiest way for me to set you up? Come see me, come to my house, come to my apartment, come to my apartment. Oh no, don't worry, ain't no worry about them, just come, trust me. And the next thing you know, just come out from under. I thought it was, yeah, it's my sister. You're done. You're finished. Let alone the deen. You make zina and your iman taken away from you. What if you die in that state? What if your iman doesn't come back to you? It's scary. Extremely scary. Or what if you become addicted to zina and you can't stop? I want to stop, but I can't. So you become a slave when you allow sex to determine your decisions in life. Don't ever forget this advice. And trust me, it's not fun being a slave. You're only supposed to be a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You won't succeed, whatever your career you want to be. You want to make money, you want to be a basketball player, you want to play for whatever you want to do, whatever you aspire to do. You can't do it if you're a slave of somebody else. So one of the ways to stop you from making zina is to realize once you enter, it's very hard to get out of. Let alone you get STD, STI, you got a disease, now you can't even. Nobody wants to marry you, you got this illness. Or you get a baby, now you got scouts coming to your game. How you gonna focus on your diet and your training regimen and you gotta buy Pampers and baby wipes? Child support. Do you know how many people's careers were ruined because they had babies to take care of? He was a much better basketball player. He was 10 times better than this person in the league. He was a wizard with the basketball. He could do this spin on his finger. But he had to work. I got to work at Walmart. I got time to play, to practice. The coach from this school, from this division came to my game. I ain't got no time. I got child support to pay. So the moral of the story is that when you let your sexual desires control you, you're going to get messed up in the religious aspect, of course, your faith. You may become a slave of your desires. Allah take your iman away from you. You die in that state. Or you get messed up and your worldly aspirations go down the what? Go down the drain. So be careful of that. As far as the parents, advice to the parents, and I don't see, you say you're 16? I give you a 2 out of 10 chance of succeeding with the system and the culture of the Muslims today. 2 out of 10, at best. That's if you don't make any mistakes. 2 out of 10 chances. Odds are against you because right now, here, my son, even if you don't go to public school, you go to Islamic school, the girls there. Obviously, you got a phone, you got an internet. You're not stupid, you're not slow. You're in puberty, you're past puberty. So you're going to start puberty at what? 11, 12, 13. You start going girl. Get married until you finish high school, until you finish college. That's 4 years. Until you finish maybe masters, or you gotta pay off your student loan, you gotta get your own house. In other words, by the time you can have sex, you're gonna be what, 30 something years old? Living in America, and there's women, good face, 24/7. All heights, whatever, just all you, literally. How is that, how you want, in reality, how's a person want to succeed? Living in dunya, but no girlfriend, no everything's on, that don't even make sense. And this is the mindset of most Muslim parents today. Especially when my child will send you to college, and with your girls dressed in naked, skin-tight clothes, and you're just going to be a saint and a monk. And if you find a girl that you want to marry from a different race, or no, or different age, no. She's married, no. Abby, I'm going to get married to this guy here, no. There's a million other restrictions, let alone how much money you got to pay. But now, what's the chances of you succeeding? In reality, you live in an unrealistic mindset, and you got to marry somebody that you don't like, marry someone that's related to you, they're setting you up for failure. So the solution is, you can make it that, but just keep it what? Keep it on the tuck. I don't care what you do as long as the people don't know about it. Many Muslim parents, they tell their children that. For you to marry this girl from another race or another tribe, it's better for you to have a girlfriend than marry her. Just like women say, make zina than have another wife. Is this bid'ah? Is this straight now? Is this a rare thing? This is well known. I'd rather him make zina, keep it out of my face, than have another wife. So they're setting you up for failure. So something has to change. The youth, you guys, gotta change. And the parents also have to what? Have to change. But there's no way that you can build a dam and pin it up against all of those millions of gallons of water and not expect it to break in the water to rush through. The world is full of stuff. You have to have tangible solutions. Look, son, I'm making a deal with you. Give me 2 years. Straight A's, all your salats, finish the Quran, I got you. I'm going to help you get married. I'm going to pay for the stuff. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to do such. If you finish this, I promise you, then I'll let you go. Let's make. You can't just get married with no responsibility. Same time, fasting, of course. Reading the Quran, being scared of zina, and just knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you if you do what you're supposed to do. And you have to taste bitter but taste sweet. You have to sacrifice in life. Nothing comes that's good. Nothing good, easy good. So it's a long, that's my nasiha, but for sure the parents gotta figure it well. And then they gotta stop living this unrealistic bubble world. My son doesn't make zina. What are you talking about? Of course, he just goes to school with Tracy and Kimberly and Lakeisha. Of course, he doesn't think about them. Of course, they don't like him. Of course not. Not my son, not my daughter. No. Of course not. Okay. Good luck.
You gotta navigate through it.
May Allah make it easy.
What do you say to those parents so that they stress marriage to their daughters, but not to sons?
Those who stress marriage to daughters but not to sons, there are different reasons behind that. And one of the reasons is the different prejudices that is, and the biases that exist towards the different sexes and genders. That's a sad reality, such as my son commencing that. It's target practice. Really, he's sharpening his for when he gets married. My son can't be a virgin with his wife, and he has to know the rules. But my daughter, even liking a boy, saying he's cute, a'udhu billah. Hence honor killings. Are there differences between male and female? Are there differences and different ups and downs between a boy and a girl? I'm denying that. But at the same time, you're allowing debauchery. You're allowing zina and evilness, the evil practice with a male. How do you think Allah is going to help you? And what message are you giving to people? That's their culture. It's culture. So the daughter has to get married, but the son doesn't. Cave honey. What type of son are you raising? He's a grown man living in a house. playing video games on the sofa, eating Doritos, and you're supposed to have a family by now. I want grandkids. It's rough. And the Prophet's advice is clear. O assembly of youth, whoever can do so should.
2 out of 10. All right?